Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing?
Awesome.
Was that a party last night or what? One thing about us shop owners and people in our industry, we sure know how to party, that's for sure. That was a blast, man. And what about the weather that we've gotten here in Minnesota? I played hockey here when I was a kid. I moved here when I was 16 to go to boarding school. And it was the first Halloween, and they said it snows a lot in Minnesota. We came up to a play here, and it took us 4 hours to get 50 miles because it had snowed 18 inches in 6 hours. Who's from Minnesota? 1991, remember? Yeah, the great storm of 1991. But so it's, the weather this time of year in Minnesota can be hit or miss, and we've just gotten the most perfect weather. So it's been great. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Jimmy Aloria. I own 3A Automotive and Diesel in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm also the founder of Victory Team Building Group, which we're just starting now. And I have a history in the industry. I started when I was born. My dad literally started our business 1 month after I was born because he probably knew I was going to be an expensive kid that wanted to play ice hockey in Phoenix. So I've been around the industry my entire life. And my story is I've been trying to get out of the industry since I got in it. I had never had any interest in being in the auto repair industry. I was a hockey player. That's what I wanted to do for my career. That was my goal. And I never had really, as I got older, I was interested in driving cars, but fixing them, I didn't have a lot of interest in that. And my dad didn't have a lot of interest in pushing it on me. He wouldn't, back in those days, it was like, no, you go to college and you get a good job and where you can make a lot of money. And it was about my junior year in college. My dad had finally had enough, and he went to a seminar and started getting some training and consulting and started making some money in this business. By the time I got done with my hockey career, which was very short in the minor pros after college, I went home and I saw, wow, this is actually a real business. He had just bought my mom a custom, her dream home north of Phoenix. And they were starting a vacation. My dad was getting a little more freedom. And I was like, well, I don't have anything else to do. So I moved back home and I started marketing the shop. And I've been doing it for 21 years now. So I've been a speaker in the industry. I delivered a lot of seminars all over the US and Canada. And my appreciation and admiration for the industry has grown over the years. It's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And my desire to help the industry as we deal with these challenging times has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. Because we are facing some huge challenges. Would you guys agree? But the challenges that we face, what kind of opportunity do we have right now? And I think that we would all agree after coming to a seminar like this and hearing some of these guys that are doing some really great things in this industry, the opportunity is way, way, way greater than the barriers that we have to take advantage of those. So that's my passion. I bought the shop in 2016 and kind of reinvented our culture in our shop. And that's what I'm forwarding the message on in my consulting company now, is the same kind of thing. It's just, we're creating an environment where everybody wins. The customers win, the shops win, and the employees win. And our viewpoint is that if we don't have a win-win-win, we're not doing it right. We don't want to play. Because everybody's got to win. And it is very possible to do that, and I think, again, this is one of the best conferences there is in this industry because it's an open book. You've got some of the best operators in the country sharing multi-million dollar secrets in these seminars. And I've heard this for 21 years. This is the greatest opportunity ever in this industry. But you know what, right now, and I think we would all agree, this right now, this present time right now, is the greatest opportunity we've ever had in this industry. Ever. The shortage of the workforce. Where are the top technicians going to work? They're going to work for us, aren't they? The guys who are here studying on a Saturday. The guys who are working on their businesses. The guys who are creating an environment where the employees can win. The guys who are paying the top wages, giving the best benefits, have a great winning culture that they want to be a part of. There's no shortage of technicians for us, guys. There is an unlimited opportunity for us right now. Unlimited. So I'm excited. And I haven't been as excited about my own repair facility than I am now, ever. So we're going to talk today about building a winning team full of productive, competent, and happy employees in today's world, because it is different. It's a different world. We live in there's a different viewpoint. The young people that are coming into the industry don't have the same work ethic, morals, and some of that we need to teach in our shop culture. And some of that we've created in our shop culture. The number one thing that we have to understand as leaders is really the effects that we can create. A leader is a person who has commanding authority or influence. This is no small responsibility. It's a huge responsibility. Pretty much everybody in this room is either an owner or a manager. You wear that hat not just at the shop. You wear that hat in your life. People look to you. It doesn't matter if you're at the shop. It's family gatherings, it's friendship gatherings, it's anywhere you're at, you are a leader. We don't just fall into these roles by default. We're leaders. The effects that leaders have on this world can't be underestimated. And in times like we're in right now, it's vitally important that we step up our ownership of who we are and what we are. I was in Brian's seminar yesterday. See, you should have said up front, Brian.
I was going to, but I didn't say it, but it was T for Cindy, and he stole the so I had to move back one row.
I have to tell you, I was so moved when Brian asked you to explain what was your purpose for opening up more locations and getting big, because you had enough money. You'd gotten your goal. He wants to race cars. Shop's purpose, race cars. I want freedom. But then as the business got bigger, the purpose changed. It wasn't just about him, it was about the group. It was about the opportunity. It's realizing that I've got this talent for bringing people together, to building teams. I know how to buy businesses. I know how to get people here. I know how to run one of these operations. So why not create the opportunity so everybody can grow? And I like literally got chills when I heard that, and I thought about my own shop. Like I've just, it's not really what I want to do. But it really got me to looking at what can we do as leaders? What effects can we create as leaders? And if you have that talent, and you have that ability, and you have that desire, you got to want to do it. No doubt. You got to want to get up every morning and own 5 shops by 2023, right? Because knowledge, responsibility, control, right? The more responsibility you take, the more control you have. But the more control you have, the more responsibility, more knowledge. You got to be playing the game. So when we look at what effects are we creating as leaders, as a leader, you can create good effects or you can create bad effects. And it's something that you don't realize how much power you have, how much influence you have over the people that come to work for you every day. The good and the bad. You come into the shop because you've had a bad week, a bad day, or a bad month, and you've got an edge because you're losing money, or somebody quit, or something outside of the shop's going on. Realize that is affecting your team. I have a very capable manager right now. She's been with us about a little over, almost 2 years now, actually. October's 2 years. Her and I are like this. We get along amazing. We think literally like we're just on the same wavelength when it comes to the shop. I'll be sending a text asking a question to somebody, and I'll have her on the text chain, and she'll respond back to me directly. I was just writing that same text, like with a screenshot of her writing it out, right? We are like on the same page. And she's powerful. She's got a lot of force. She's got a lot of intensity. And when she validates somebody like a good job, it means a lot. It's like, thank you. Okay? But with that same intensity, if it's a bad day for her, so a couple weeks ago, we're finishing, August? It's the end of the month. We can have a record month. She had scheduled 2 days off. Now, we had just hired a new service advisor at the beginning of the month. Very capable guy, he's doing great. But we're trying to get stuff out at the end of the month, right? And she took these 2 days off. It was the 27th, 28th. It was the last 2 days of the week before the last day. And normally I would have said something like, could you move it back, right? But the reason she was taking it off is because her son, who lives in Tucson, which is a couple hours south of us, who's 18, was coming up, and he was going to hang out with her and her other son for a couple days, and they were just going to hang out. And I'm like, I'm not even going there. Not for that. I don't care, right? So she decided that she was going to continue the days off, but she was going to come and do a little bit of planning in the mornings and then let him go. So she did that. Well, Friday, she didn't come in Friday morning. Friday afternoon, she comes in, and I happen to be there, and a $20,000 Corvette job that we've been working on for 6 months, 82 Corvette project that we'll never take on again, isn't going to leave. All right, well, there goes our highest ever. And then a couple other, another one was like a $6,000 diesel job. We work on a lot of diesel trucks, so it's some big stuff, right? Wasn't going to leave. And she comes in with this saw blade of a personality. You know, not saying anything, but just. She wasn't there very long, and I didn't say anything. Monday came around, and we had a conversation. And I said, Emily, I would have normally said something about you taking your days off, but I didn't want that. And I wanted you to spend that time with your family. I thought it was really important. And they had a good time. They did. I said, but you came in here Friday night, Friday afternoon, when these guys are trying their best. There is nothing anybody in that shop can do to get that door handle that we need for that 82 Corvette that we had to order from Colorado to make that job leave. There's nothing they could do. And that diesel job, actually no, it was a bigger diesel job. It was like a 17-hour job. That job, there's no way, because we were short one technician that week, there was nothing that we ran out of hours. It wasn't that anybody was doing anything. So what was that going to do to the team? Did that bring them up or bring them down? Right? It's invalidating. Like, it's like they're not trying hard or something. What were they going to do? Was her being there going to make it any different? No. And what I love about Emma, like I said, we're very close. She's like a younger sister to me and to my wife and I. You know, and I can talk frankly with her. Because the power that she has, that she generates, she runs that shop. And she does have force, and it comes either in good or bad waves. It either comes as a nice wavelength and it feels good, like motivating, or it comes like a jagged saw blade. And that's what we got to realize, that we have that force. What effects are you creating in your shop? And that's why we got to focus on the gains. Good executives focus on the gains. They focus on the positives. Ignore the losses. Because the truth was, when we actually looked at the numbers, we actually had our highest August ever. We didn't hit the number we wanted, but we still had the highest August ever. And we had a tough month. A tough month. And when I mean tough, I had a parts manager, 69 years old, worked in the business, worked in our industry for 40 years. And Dennis passed away last month. Saturday night, wondering where he was at Monday morning, all of a sudden his son walks in the shop. Major loss. The week before that, one of the reasons we had 2 weeks before that, the reason we had the new service advisor, we had another guy who got cancer. And it was like, take care of the cancer, right? I'm not trying to bring down, but what I'm telling you is that we had, despite all of that going on, and we had a technician quit. Despite all that going on, we still had the best August we've ever had in 46 years. We really got to look at, where are we at? Where's your business at compared to? And really reflect on that. Capitalize on the gains. Capitalize on the positives. Good executives, they learn from the good and the bad. But we don't need to focus on the bad. We'll talk about that in a minute. But we get so much of the bad coming in, and it comes out from us. And it has effects because we have so much horsepower. You know, you take somebody who they're kind of reserved, and you see them over in a corner and they're kind of by themselves. Are they affecting very many people? Probably not. But you take a larger-than-life personality, somebody who's a big being, like a business owner or a manager, people who, like when you're having a bad day or you're having a bad situation, people feel it. Good executives move on, and they move on decisively. We'll talk about that in a second. Bad executives, they question decisions. I shouldn't have made that hire. We shouldn't have used that marketing piece. I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done that. Keep beating themselves up. Always focusing on what others are doing wrong. And the reason I bring this up is not because I'm saying that you guys do this. What I'm saying is, look at the environment, look at the management in your shop, looking at the other technicians, looking at what are the points that we're focusing on. Because it's very easy to get stuck in the bad. And you know, even subtle things like rubbing somebody's nose in a mistake, thinking that that's going to make them learn. We're human beings. Technicians are human beings, they're not dogs. Okay? We're not We don't want them reactive. We want empathy. We want trust. We want respect. The owners and managers typically, it's easy, we can have waves of this stuff where we're kind of like, we get into the mode of we're just, you ever had those weeks or months or days where you're just, everything you hear is like, another one, right? And we feel like that's what we're hearing about, the bad things that happen in the shop. We're regularly hearing about the wrong things. Especially if you're remote. How many of you guys are away from the shop more than you're there? There's quite a few of you, right? Is it likely that when you hear about something, it's the bad news? Okay? But most of the time when you have a really strong manager, somebody running, they're going to kind of deflect that stuff. They're going to keep it off your lines and try and handle it. But usually the stuff that you're hearing about is usually the bad. And it's hard. But how much time do you spend on positive things? Think about that. Think about the positive things that you and your shop create. The positive effects. The amount of customers that when they finally found you, they're like, oh my gosh, I can actually trust somebody now in this business. Or your employees, these technicians, they come to your shop. Finally, somebody who cares about me, treats me with respect, does a lot of marketing, keep my base full, really cares about my success and not just about the bottom line of the shop. What about those guys? The Google reviews. It's all about perspective. When we hear about the bad, that's what we think about. Dodging bullets all day. But we still survive. We persevere. But that's not good enough. It's not okay. We don't have to be that tough, let's say. Look at the positives. Write down all the positive things that you guys affect, the creations, the staff, the customers. List those things out. Make it big. And remind yourself of the positive effects that you're creating and the positive effects that your staff are creating. On my last seminar, the power of acknowledgement and acknowledging somebody for something little like, well done on diagnosing that car, man. That was amazing. How'd you figure it out? What was it? Very well done. Or big ones. You know, a team accomplishment or a personal accomplishment. But write those things down so that you remind yourself. I mean, it's like how many of you guys get the Google reviews sent right to your email that go right to your phone? Yep. And it's Saturday night or Wednesday night, and one comes in. And our initial response, because you have 4.7 rating on Google, it's going to be good. Let's see what they do. And then what is it? It's that one knucklehead crazy customer, right? And what are we focused on for the next 24 hours? That bad review. That one bad review, and you've got 400 5-star reviews and thousands of more that didn't leave the reviews on what you did right and how you did save them money and how you did sell them what they didn't need and how you did make them feel good about coming to your shop. Thousands of them, thousands of examples. But where's our attention? Right on that one review from that one crazy customer that will never be satisfied. And they bounce around from shop to shop to shop. And if you look up their Yelp page, their personal Yelp page, there's not one positive thing said about one business. They've got 10 reviews and they're all 1-star reviews. But where's our attention? Right? And maybe you don't do that much research, but I have to remind myself, who am I dealing with? Am I dealing with somebody who's crazy? I'm not saying that everybody leaves a bad review is crazy, because that's not true either. There is responsibility. But at the same time, a lot of times it is. And then we go into the shop, fired up. We got a bad review. Think of all the positive things you're doing, right? There's so many, there's thousands of them. You got to have that successful mindset all the time, because you're a leader. It's your responsibility. That's what they look to you for. Calm, cool, collected. When something bad happens, you're not reacting. You're like, okay, it happened. Car falls off a lift. Now with that, I know you guys are all thinking the same thing I'm thinking. Did anybody get hurt? All right, now, did anybody get hurt? No. All right. What the hell happened? And guys, realistically, yes, we do have to be serious about like something as serious as that, but how much reaction are we going to have with the staff? Did they mean to have the car fall off the lift? No. And most of the time, you know what I mean? You've got responsible people working for you. We had a brand new 2500 diesel almost fall off a lift one time. And it was our apprentice guy. He did nothing wrong. It had one of those new undercoatings that they have, and it's like a tar material. We don't have a lot of that in Arizona, right? Never seen it before. It's almost like thick grease. You guys in the snow country have it, right? We didn't know what it was. He put it up there, and all of a sudden he gets it up to the top. It hits the last leg, and he brings it down, and it starts sliding forward. First question, was anybody hurt? No. And I look over across the shop, and there's Michael sitting on a stool just like a ghost. I went up to him and smacked him on the back. What's up, dude? Oh, man. I'm so sorry, Jimmy. I'm so sorry. I'm like, for what? He's like, I'm like, look, brother, did anybody get hurt? No. All right, so what? It didn't fall off the lift. We can fix that. It messed up the step. You know what I mean? We can fix all of this. It is physical hardware. It's physical universe. I can't replace you. I don't give a shit about this truck. How did he feel after that conversation? Okay. Because we've all been in that situation, right? He's beating himself up more. Nothing I'm going to say to him other than get him out of it. Get him out of it. Okay? That's the viewpoint we have to have. I just got off the phone with one of my really good friends that was my goalie when I was in college. And he's now the goalie coach for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Probably in the NHL, the toughest coaching job in the world. If you know anything about hockey. Toronto Maple Leafs haven't won a Stanley Cup in a long, 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 long time. And it's the hottest hockey territory in the world, really. Okay. So he's got this job, and the way that he got it, he was a rookie coach playing for one of the best coaches ever, or coaching with one of the best coaches, Mike Babcock, who used to coach the Detroit Red Wings. That's who hired him. Now Steve's still there, even though Babcock got fired. But I've always been interested in why does Steve's always been a positive guy. He's just one of these guys his name's Steve Briere. He's one of these guys that he was the hardest working guy on our team. He's the most positive guy, most competitive. He's about this tall. And playing goalie, when you're this tall, it's twice as much work as the modern goalie, because they're usually like 6'6", right? But this guy flies across the net. He played all the way to the top level. He never made it to the NHL, but he made it to just below the NHL. And now he's a coach. And his viewpoint with goalies is all positive. He never, ever shows them a goal against. Why? I say, Steve, why don't you ever show them a goal against? He goes, because they already know why it went in. Why do I need to condition that in them? They know why it went in. And the goalies will ask them, why can't I see well, tell me what happened. Why my angle was off. Okay. Yeah, you're right. I know how it went in. And you know what he does? So let's just say blocker or glove hand. That's where they got it. They got him over the shoulder glove side. That's the goal that went in. Goalie's all upset. He was out of position. Do you know what happened? Yeah, I was off. My angle was off. Okay, good. So he has the video guy put together 50 cuts of the goalie making that save. That same save. So what's he reinforcing? The positive. Right? The guys know what they did wrong. Professionals know what they did wrong. We don't need to remind them of it. That doesn't mean that we're not going to coach them if they don't know. But most of the time they do know. He actually sent his goalie now, Freddie Anderson, to the Navy SEAL camp in San Diego. What do you think of the Navy SEALs when you think of that? Who makes it? The elite, right? Now, do you think that the Navy SEALs boot camp, Hell Week, is a positive influence or a negative? Like it would be like, you're the worst guy, and they're trying to just beat them down. It's really interesting. The Navy SEALs have actually changed their method recently. It used to be we need the meanest, baddest guys that we can get our hands on that can handle the most negativity, and we're going to beat them down, and whoever survives, that's our Navy SEALs. They don't do it anymore like that. They do have Hell Week, and you've all seen videos about that, and it is nothing short of hell. But what you don't know is that there is about 2 weeks before Hell Week where all they're doing is conditioning them to deal with the worst situations that they've ever dealt with. Because imagine a Navy SEAL, right? What they might encounter. I can't even think with it. But they're training them to think of, I can get out of this. My team's got me. I'm doing this for my country. I have the ability to do anything, right? I'm unkillable, unstoppable. That's what they're conditioning them and teaching them before they go to Hell Week. And most people don't know that. These guys are well equipped before they go into Hell Week. And because Hell Week is Hell Week, and they're going to put them through what they might experience in a worse condition. But before that, they are reinforcing the positive, and they are teaching them that they can do anything. And you see these stories about what some of these guys, these special forces guys, get through. It is because of that. It's because they have focused on the positive. How can we relate that to our shops? How can we relate that to our lives? Like, what effects are you going to create because you have that influence? They look up to you. They look up to us. And that's what we have to remind ourselves of every single day, in my opinion. What do you do in your weekly meetings? Are we focusing on the positive or the negative? You know the old meeting stands for beating? We do, in our meetings, we start off our meeting with what went wrong. Like if there's a situation that happened, an upset customer, a comeback, we're going to go over that. But we're also going to go over, okay, this happened, this customer's upset, why did they get upset, and how do we make sure that it doesn't happen in the future? Okay? But we end the meeting with positive stuff. One of the things I love to do is read the 5 or 6 reviews that came in that were 5 stars. It reinforces the purpose. It reinforces what we're doing. Because you know what? Do your technicians get to see those reviews very often? Unless they're going on Google, probably not. But it reinforces what they're doing. Guys, this is what we say. I'm like, look, these are the effects that you're creating, not me. This is our company. You guys doing a great inspection, you guys doing a great quality control check, you guys fixing the job right the first time, timely, that's creating these effects. And we'll read the reviews. It just solidifies why they're doing what they're doing. Talk about the hard jobs you figured out. Acknowledge the staff that went above and beyond. Great games. We talked about that in the first seminar I did. Do we got to look at the bad? Of course. We do. You got to be able to confront it though. And just like the Navy SEALs, they're getting ready for Hell Week, we're preparing them for it. We're building them up. We're doing more right than wrong, aren't we? We're doing a lot more right than wrong, and your staff's doing a lot more right than wrong. And if you have staff that are doing a lot more wrong than right, you better either fix it fast or move on. But we do need to focus on that, but we're building up to that. When you have something that is wrong, that's going wrong, like the situation with the lift, it's like, okay, let's take a look at what happened. The truth was when the foreman looked at where he had racked it, it was right where the chassis starts sloping up a little bit. Young eye missed it. Did he do anything wrong per se? On 99.9% of the trucks that come in our shop, it wouldn't have mattered. That truck would have never slipped. Okay? So then it was a training on where are we placing. And Seth was talking about that yesterday. Right? It was something, you think that you're hiring a master technician, let's just make sure that we rack the cars right? Especially when we're working on a $150,000 BMW. But in my business, it's a 2-ton diesel that'll squash a technician like a bug. It's important to handle those things. Even the little things. Customer was upset. What happened? We didn't call him back. Okay, well, what policy aren't we following to make sure that? What are we going to do to make sure it doesn't happen again? We do need to address it, but it's not the focus. One of the things that's really important about when you're handling problems, how many people have created an unwanted effect through an email or text message? Written communication is really important for some things. Policy, orders, okay, things like that, that's fine. But when you have a problem with somebody, or you're dealing with a problem to address a situation, I believe the best way to handle that is one-on-one, face-to-face, or on the phone if you can't be with them one-on-one. You can't judge emotions with emojis, okay? And you can't give empathy with emojis either. Like, look, I know you didn't mean to do this, but, and you can't see a response through a text message. Again, looking at what effects, like before you send a text, should I just call this person and have this conversation? Or is it okay to send a text on this one? Because when they receive this from me, what is going to happen to them? What is going on in their head? What are they going to figure about, which isn't your intent by a written communication that should actually just be done one-on-one? Okay? So when you're handling something with a staff member, try and do it face-to-face or over the phone, because then you can have that two-way conversation and find out what happened. Because we've all already agreed, when there's a mistake that happens, did the technician mean for that to happen? No, absolutely not. So we want to know, well, okay, what were you thinking? Not in a joking way, like, so you made the decision to buy the AutoZone part when we know that policy is on this one, you buy it from the dealer. what were you thinking? Right? And all you're trying to do with that is get their responsibility with it. If they take ownership of what happened, that it was their decision, and not making them wrong for it, but letting them talk and having that open line with you, it'll go away. And so he says, you know what? I forgot to order the part the night before. I forgot to order it the next morning. And I had to get it after lunch, and the only way I could get it here was by AutoZone. Okay. Thanks for telling me. What'd you learn from that? I gotta order the parts right away. As soon as I know I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it now. And if I can't do it now, then I'm gonna write myself in. Fine. Okay. Did he intend to put the wrong part on the car? No, he didn't intend to put the wrong part on the car. Did he make a mistake? Sure. But how much am I gonna beat him up for it? But what I really want to do is I want to take and on his own determinism, not me telling him what he did wrong, but on his own determinism, allowing him to communicate and say, I did this wrong. And not being beaten down about it, that I'm proud that they take responsibility. That's what I want. That's all I want. I want ownership. And I will tell you that the freedom of getting away from the shop, the freedom of having that shop run on your purpose and your quality and the effects that you want your customers to have, all comes down to your staff taking responsibility. Wouldn't you agree? Okay. And that's all we want. So the one-on-one meetings allows them to do that, having an open door policy and making sure that we're not beating them down for a mistake. They didn't want to make the mistake. But what did they do to let them take responsibility? They can't blame everybody, especially a manager. A manager's got to take responsibility. Because at the end of the day, the buck stops here, right? And that's all about responsibility. Team meetings. Again, going over those problems and just making sure that we're coming up with a handling. It's like, don't let them fester. Training programs, what are you going to do? If a technician's constantly having problems with training, there's a lot of training available these days. One of the things that we bought a Pico scope a few years ago, and it wasn't getting used. So we started training programs. It still wasn't getting used as much as it should be. So now we have every other week the guys have a training session, and then they have a mentor that they can call 24/7 with any questions. Networking, studying, reading, all that stuff. What does staff want? They want good pay. Yes, that's important. Okay. We did recent surveys, and why did you take for technicians? We surveyed over 150 technicians in 3 locations in the country, and number one thing, why did you take your job? The better pay. But what was important? Why did you take that job? The environment, the culture. And we've heard that again and again and again in this conference. They want training. They want that training. Our next seminar that we're doing after this is all about that recruitment. We're going to talk about this in a little more detail. And of course, they want to be fairly close to home. But I was surprised at how far people would actually be willing to travel. In Phoenix, it was like 20 to 40 miles that they were willing to travel. I was surprised by that. I used to just, if somebody wasn't within a 30-minute drive, I wasn't really interested in interviewing them. 80% of the people are good. 20% are crazy. Now, 1 in 5 are crazy. And an average shop is somewhere between 5 and 10 employees per shop. So the chances are that we have a crazy person or two in there are pretty likely. Yeah, that guy you're thinking of right now. Yeah. Thank God you fired him, right? Or not. Yeah, what if you're the one? Yeah. Unfortunately, the 20% don't have the ability of self-reflection. So if you're thinking that you're the crazy person, you're not. Okay? So stop it. You're 80% by far. The point is that if you've got somebody in there that's creating a negativity, the one that always brings up the negative, even when things are positive, they want to find the negative, or they're beating people up, they're beating your service writer up, they're beating your technician up. Got a picture? You might be able to handle them fine. Because remember, you're the big being over the operation. Bullets just like the Matrix, right? But what about your staff? What effect is that guy, that master technician that is just a jerk, having on your apprentice? Having on your new master tech that just walked in? On the guy that you're introducing to everybody, and he goes up to him and shakes his hand and he crushes it. He says, "Don't you dare think about coming to work here." Okay? We've got to think about these things, and we've got to be willing to confront them, because they are real. You want a good environment. Good executives protect their staff. They never let anybody talk down to their staff. Or within. We have a policy in our shop. You do not attack another employee. Yelling and all that stuff, sure. It's intense, right? We're trying to get something done. It gets intense. That's not what I'm saying. But a personal attack, never. And if it happens, I want to know about it. And I tell the staff, like, if it happens, you need to pull that manager aside and have a conversation with them. And if it still doesn't resolve and it continues to happen, I want to know about it. Okay? Customers as well. I can't remember who, I think it was Joe Marconi wrote an article a few months ago. I don't know if you remember this, Brian. He was talking about a situation where you have this nasty customer, drove up to the front of the shop, started yelling at the technicians, and he had a choice. What do I do? Whose side do I take? And this was brilliant words of wisdom. Is it easier to replace a technician or a customer? Yep. Right? And he knew the technician. It's a good guy. And this guy's getting attacked. So he didn't like yell at the customer, but he went to handle the situation, and he said, I'm going to risk it, and I'm going to tell this guy, you need to go to the office. Or don't ever attack my people. I can't remember exactly but the viewpoint was, I'm protecting my staff because I know that their intentions are good. So how do you create the best shop? Everybody's got to buy in. That's been the theme of the weekend, hasn't it? You want to talk about getting the top technicians? Every single guy that's talked about getting the best technicians and gal has talked about getting good. It's the environment. It's the culture. Yes, the money has to be there, guys. It does. But that's all part of the environment and the culture. And guess what? Your customers feel it too. They got to be willing, and they have to be winning. And it's our purpose and our interest as the leaders of our shops to make sure that everybody's winning. How are you doing? The monthly or the yearly reviews that are done a couple times a year or quarterly, those are important. How are you doing? How are you doing personally? How's it going? Like, that genuine interest is the difference between a winning shop and a shop that's going to struggle. In the environment that you're creating, you know what I mean? Like, I give this example here of Chick-fil-A. Think of a business that you've walked into from the customer standpoint, where you felt welcome, you felt important, you felt like somebody took care of you. Chick-fil-A is one of the most popular places to eat fast food. Guess what? It's also one of the most popular places for people to work. It's the top franchise in the world right now. When you say, yeah, I'd like a peppermint, what's that shake they have at Christmas time? The peppermint shake, you guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah, I want one of those large, extra large peppermint shakes. All right, I got that for you. Thank you. What do they say? My pleasure. Okay? And then think of a time when you walk into a business and it's tone and then, or you see the person who's just looking at your wallet. That's all they care about, making the sale. We just bought my wife a car a couple weeks ago. We went into a couple dealerships. Where we bought our car was the guy who was friendly, caring, had personality, right?
Did you hire him?
He was the guy, he's this guy, he went into Navy. He got into the Navy Fighter Pilot Academy. Yeah, but I would. Hell yeah. Keep creating your ideal shop, guys. You know, you might have seen this before. You know, people think that success looks like this. But the truth is that's what it is. You have your ups and downs. But at the end of the day, you know, we have a responsibility as leaders, and the effects that you create, good or bad, are felt. Don't underestimate the power that you have that's coming out of you and the effects that you can create on your staff, on your customers, on your community. Because you're among a few. We are among a few, I say. Leaders, entrepreneurs, managers. We're guiding the ship, and you have a huge, huge responsibility to create these good effects. So that's it. Thank you very much. Thank you. If you guys want, I have a document on really like what we do for looking at what positives you're doing, but then how do I go about handling the things that I know we need to handle. So if you want that, just go to winningautoshops.com. You can download it there, or you can scan the QR code.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jimmy. Some really cool visuals you're presenting there. Great storytelling. Let's give it up for Jimmy one more time, guys.
Thank you.